Hillary Clinton's campaign said in a statement, quote, "This is scary stuff, and it's yet more proof why Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit and totally unqualified to be commander-in-chief." General Michael Hayden was director of the CIA and the National Security Agency. Good morning.
Morning.
Do you agree with Hillary Clinton?
Well, it certainly was a fact-free description of what's going on in the Ukraine.
Okay, but do you agree with what she said, totally unfit and unqualified to be commander-in-chief, based on the experience you have?
That would add to a body of evidence that would actually draw one towards that conclusion. We'll see what happens over the life of the campaign. There is a chance to recover. But right now, that statement there, again, devoid of facts and divorced from traditional European policy. I mean, that was the violent change of a European border with the annexation of Crimea, which he says he might be fine with at some point in the future. I mean, beyond just what's happening in the Ukraine, can you actually live with a Europe in which you can change borders based upon popular sovereignty? How much more violent would the continent become?
What do you make of the overall picture here? Vladimir Putin saying nice things about Donald Trump. Donald Trump saying nice things about Vladimir Putin, that he's a better leader than Barack Obama. All of this stuff. What's the big takeaway here?
The big takeaway is that to the degree we have developed elements of strategy within the Trump campaign, one of those elements is a far more cooperative relationship with the Russian Federation than we have had since the invasion of Georgia in 2008. It also appears to be a fairly cost-free engagement for the Russians, with the Americans forgiving previous Russian sins and allowing certain forms of Russian behavior in return for Russian cooperation on other joint problems. Now, look, I like the part about the Russian cooperation, but I do think actions have consequences. The occupation of Crimea, the continued occupation of portions of the Ukraine, the threat to the Baltics, the unacceptable behavior against American naval and ships and aircraft, the cyber attacks, which are pretty certain the Russians are carrying out. I mean, you can't have this accommodation while that kind of behavior continues.
Three questions about the Russian cyber attacks. Number one, are we convinced they did it? Is everybody in the intelligence community convinced they did it first? Two, did they do it because they want to manipulate the election? Three, how do we retaliate?
Okay. Number one, I think they did it. You saw Jim Clapper out at Aspen kind of stop one brick shy of a load from saying it and then cutely say that only a limited number who could do this. So I think the consensus is they did do this. And in the cyber domain, sometimes you can't get to that court of law beyond all reasonable doubt. You've got to act even in the face of some lingering doubt. So I think the Russians did it. Why did they do it? First of all, the stealing of the data, Charlie, that's generally accepted state espionage. All right, that's an important political party in an important country. Stealing that stuff is what big nations, including our own, do to other big nations. They did something else, though. They weaponized the information. They used the information to, at a minimum, play with our heads. I really don't think he's got the wherewithal, the wisdom, the cleverness to use the data to affect the outcome of the campaign. I get it. Again, Putin. I think he's just playing with our heads. He thinks we do this to him all the time. He thinks we did the Orange Revolution. He thinks we did the Rose Revolution. He's trying to just give us a taste of our own medicine. With regard to our retaliation, you don't need to pull the trigger, so to speak, in the cyber domain. This becomes part of that broad package of Russian behavior that I described a few minutes ago, requiring a broader, to my view, tougher American response.
Go ahead, Gail. Oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to jump.
Oh, okay. There are reports that there are going to be daily briefings for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, security briefings. What exactly does that mean, and do you think this is a good idea for both candidates?
It's a necessary idea. It's not quite what the Constitution requires. It's not written down, but it is our protocol. You get the nomination of one or both of those parties, you're entitled to some classified information.
It was suggested that Donald Trump get fake briefings.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, Harry Reid suggested that, yeah.
The sitting president has to treat both candidates perfectly equally. Now, Gail, they're not going to get daily briefings. They're too busy. They've got lots of other things going on. I suspect we may have a few, and it's just a few seminar-like discussions. This is going to look like one of those think tank seminars on steroids. This isn't going to be. Let me show you the covert actions we've got underway in this part of the world. Look,
so what do you?
Let me add a point. They're busy, all right. But even candidates less talkative than Mr. Trump are frightened about trying to sort out in their minds when they get the unexpected questions
Right.
from folks like yourself. Did I learn that in the briefing
Right.
or did I read that in the paper? And they want to keep those challenges to a minimum until Election Day.
But just to be clear, you have some intelligence officials who have suggested, and it's been reported, that they are concerned about Donald Trump having these briefings. You have Paul Ryan suggesting that he's concerned about Hillary Clinton having these briefings. What's your level of concern about each of them having these briefings?
Well, first of all, saying those things is unprecedented. This should be normal. This is just the routine run of the American electoral process. So you've got two candidates who no fooling, have actually done and said things that make serious people question their suitability for getting the information, but they're going to get it.
Their briefings and their briefings. Do you think they're going to tell these candidates everything they tell the President of the United States?
The briefings between now and the election will be very vanilla. They will be classified light.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody on Wednesday morning after the first Tuesday after the first Monday is getting the full Monty, is getting the President's Daily Brief. You take Ohio, you take Florida, you
get the whole
take
thing.
Pennsylvania. That's all you need.
Come back to
you
Ukraine.
Get the secrets.
To the Ukraine one more time. I mean, Paul, there is a story that Paul Manafort had a relationship with Yanukovych, who fled to Russia,
Right,
as you
right.
know. And Putin has always said he thought the USA and the CIA were involved in that revolution.
Right.
But is there anything here we should look at?
The circumstantial evidence really does suggest an interesting plot line. But Charlie, to my mind, that's all you have to date. That would be just one hypothesis. This could very well be the candidate's own view that he likes to sidle up to the tough guy, the guy who makes decisions, and I can deal with the tough guy.
Yeah.
Now, that can be fed by the relationships that other members of his campaign team have had before.
Yeah, and he has said that if maybe Russia can help defeat ISIS, why
Right.
wouldn't that be a good idea to form a partnership with them?
Well,
Well, that's what
actually,
John Kerry's trying to do.
well,
right?
exactly right. That's my point. It's not just Trump's campaign
exactly.
campaign plan. It's actually the current administration's
exactly.
plan at the moment.
All right, General Hayden, always good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.